Welcome to new churros, we about to drop. I like to take things easy, nice and slow. Nothing better, get some weather, so let's start the churros.
Let's go.
So let's go.
Just go, get it over with. Eat that sticky bro. Go so I can mute you. Hello and welcome to the Churros y Tácticas Podcast. I forgot. Did you want to do the intro? I forgot to ask. I'm sorry. Do you want to do the intro? You guys had like over 50% possession last night, didn't you? How many trophies is that? Per possession points per. How many trophies do you get per percentage of possession? Keep it going. Keep it going.
That's it, man. I'm just happy because
enjoy this.
I have no idea how this podcast is gonna go. Are you gonna hit me with salt? Are you gonna hit me about referee controversy? Are you gonna hit me about tactics? I'm prepared for anything. I have multiple guns in the holster, ready to go. I have a shield. I have Diego's so happy he's rolling the churros on his end too.
I have you from all angles.
That's a good way
much.
to lighten the mood. So I'm prepared. I have multiple weapons. I can bring out the bazooka. I can bring out the grenade. I can whatever I'm gonna hit me with. What are you gonna hit me with first here? Referee?
I don't know. No, not necessarily. No, let's not start there. Let me congratulate you guys first of all for winning a Clasico, deservedly so, by all stretch of the imagination. Madrid was the better team on the night. You guys deserve to walk away with the 3 points. And
that's not salty enough.
No, we'll get to the salt. There's obviously. There's some goodness and there's some saltiness. Salt sprinkles in these churros. Do not.
Well,
fear not.
You said
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, just that you said off the bat that Real Madrid deserved to win and we're the better team. So I just don't know how salty you can get on the night. Not overall. They're not better overall.
On the night,
of course not. The reigning champion of La Liga in Europe and the team that just beat us and is now in first place couldn't possibly be better than us. No chance, right? No chance.
We'll judge at the end of the season.
Fair point, but we analyze what we have. We know right now. So
that's right. So on the night, you guys were definitely better.
Okay.
The last time I was on this podcast, it was a very somber affair.
Yes.
I wanted to approach this one different, even though the mood is, make no mistake, very somber. So I'm sure a part of our listeners will get a kick out of that.
Well, Madridistas loved you.
I'm feeling
after the Patreon episode.
Deflated, deflated.
Both, yeah.
Deflated. But I'm going to approach this one from a different angle. I'm happy for you, Kiyan, that your curse in the Bernabeu of watching Madrid lose Clásicos has come to an end.
Oh, that's true. I forgot about that. Yeah. And
I thought it was going to get worse. It was fun. The Churros Twitter was account I thought was fun. And it was a night where I thought you guys were going to walk away with an historic one, to be really honest. I'll be quite frank. I thought it was going to get worse. I didn't expect us to actually be within a shot to tie the game down the stretch and pull a Real Madrid. I don't know. It was. I got my hopes up a little bit before Eddie Garcia stomped on Rodrigo. Gosh. So you guys did get your penalty call. So that's good. I'm happy about that. VAR took the time to review that. That was nice. It's good.
As they were supposed to. Well, look,
exactly.
Was it the hope
for
that killed you?
Was
it the hope that killed you? The late push.
No. Look, I'll say this. What killed me was really. I feel conflicted about this. I feel in one way that in the first half we saw, even when we went 1-0 down, Barca sort of stay true to their idea. And if you allow me to say, you and the listeners, control the game. I thought that we did manage to take control back after having gone down. And I felt quite confident that with a good chance, we're going to get something. It was Rafinha, obviously, early on, trying to test the goalkeeper, similar to how he scored his goal in Vegas, right from outside the box. Xavi also talking about how he wants this team to be more daring, more aggressive, and shoot from long range. Of the 20 goals that we've scored, 0 have been outside the 18-yard box. It's a pretty telling stat. So, but then, what was it? Minute 35? No. That was a 2-0 35, right?
32,
when did you score
35, something like that. I don't remember.
It was. Okay. Well, anyway, the first goal. You would expect Busquets to foul, right? He sort of commits halfway, doesn't. Kroos sends Vini off running. Classic counterattack, good block, but then Benzi comes in and, leaves, obviously, Ter Stegen chanceless on the rebound. Great goal. And I mean, look, already there, I can start pointing fingers, on that play, as in, like, if you expect players to maybe be more committed to an action, to stopping that play, as opposed to sending the most dangerous man right now in La Liga, in Spanish football, on the left flank off running. Because Vini, we know how dangerous he is. Okay, he didn't score the goal, but he did obviously just leaped into transition where all of our entire defensive line were tracking him and chasing him down. So then what? Then the 2-0 Valverde, right? Yes. And yeah, there my heart basically started to sink. I was like, man, we're not taking advantage of the possession that we have. I felt that we had penalty calls that didn't go our way. Absolutely. But that's a reoccurring thing, which, quite frankly, and here comes your sprinkle of salt, it's worrisome for any Barca fan to see that we're not getting any penalty calls at the moment. 0. Not one. Neither La Liga nor Champions League, when we could have easily gotten a handful at this point.
Yeah, but that's not your problem.
Well, it is, because it's directly affecting us. We're not able to hold on to the top spot in La Liga because of it. Had it gone 1-1...
That's not why you can't hold on to the top spot in La Liga. Is not because you didn't get penalty calls, which are debatable, by the way.
Well, I think they're not debatable. Not all of them. As in, like, for example, Dembele against Bayern was a clear penalty. I felt that the hip shove as well on Lewandowski, not the elbow, but the hip shove, was enough contact. We've seen those calls, those plays get called in other games with other teams. So why not now? Why don't they even review it on VAR, on VAR? VAR is not being used. Neither against Inter, neither against Bayern, neither now. And it's a reoccurring thing that, if you're culé, is worrisome. Now, you can take that as you will. And we can argue the different plays.
But that's not a specific culé thing.
That's one aspect of it.
Referees suck everywhere equally for everybody.
I don't know about that.
Yes, man. Come on.
How many penalties have you called? Have you guys gotten calls so far this season? Do you know? You put out.
I don't know the answer to that, but you put out. Not off the top of my head, anyway. But you retweeted a thing on Churros, a compilation from one of these Barca meme accounts, anonymous, just Twitter trolls, a compilation of Real Madrid decisions that the referee has given them, and acting as if that's just a thing. Like, every single team.
Our followers loved, by the way.
Sorry, my microphone is not functioning. Every single team could have that compilation. You could make that exact same thing for Barcelona. You could make that exact same thing for Atletico Madrid, and go on and on and on.
I can hear you.
Sorry, I think my headphones were unplugged or something like that. But
no, I unplugged mine.
Oh, okay.
Because I heard your voice became all static and robotic.
Yeah, I heard my own voice getting static too. But I think it was because I had a loose cord, but I fixed it. Yeah.
Okay.
So what I said was
compilation you can make about Barca.
You can make that compilation about any team. Any team. There's no conspiracy. There's nothing. It's no existe. It's nothing.
I don't want to go into it. In respect to our audience. Why did I retweet that? Is because I don't want to get into it. You can call me a salty Barca fan, fine. It's been too many years where I've been seeing a reoccurring thing, and you can say, the small teams suffer the most. You can say, I just don't think that certain teams have a claim as. Again, I don't want to go into
Diego, that Clasico when Varane had in the Camp Nou, when Varane had his leg stomped on twice in the box and had a bloody leg, and there was no call. We did not talk, but we did not talk about the referee after that one, because I didn't feel like the need to. But like you can't be like, this? Okay, well that Clasico was not a conspiracy, but this one was.
Okay, fine. Listen, I'll put it this way: why would you be held accountable, or why would, in that case, we're taking your scenario, right? Valverde gets stomped on twice. He has a bloody
Varane.
Varane, sorry. You pointing out that should have been a penalty is pointing out the obvious. It's a call that should have been called, reviewed, and called, and didn't get called. Why is that sort of deemed as whether petty, call it salty, call it finding excuses? That automatically has an outcome on the game. You had to play there,
but I don't dispute. What I dispute is that.
It's you, buddy.
Yeah, I know. Sorry. What I dispute is that I'm saying that
everyone.
I'm saying that the ref sucks. Yeah, that should have been a penalty. But I'm not saying that this is like against us. Is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Or against you.
Okay, I get your point. You're saying it's bad luck on the day. There's no further conspiracy. There's not a hunt or pursuit to damage, let's say, or hurt one team specific. There's to
no.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And now,
let's say, yeah,
this is what's annoying is that all of a sudden now, now Laporta has his excuse. It's not the project that failed. I can go down to the referee's locker room now because this happened. Now all of a sudden it's a distraction to what the actual issues at Barcelona are, and that you lost against Inter, Bayern, and Real Madrid, playing a certain brand of football, and this Xavi is statistically worse than any of your three managers now. And is this actually going in the right direction? Mm-mm. That now you have your distraction. Like, okay, that's not the problem. Our football is not the problem. The problem is that, man,
there's plenty of self-criticism.
Everyone is against us.
There's plenty of self-criticism.
All right.
Laporta going down to chat to referees is something that presidents have done in the past. It's not
stupid every time.
Okay, stupid every time, but it's happened. Florentino has got walked down also to confront referees.
I didn't know that.
As have managers of Real Madrid in the past. So, look, a president's going to look out for his club, and whether that's by deflecting sort of the attention a certain way. I don't think too much has been made of this anyway. I think, like I said, there's plenty of self-criticism going on. It's just that when you're literally seeing that the club is on the line, the finances are on the line, there's a lot of pressure currently in this situation, and things are not going our way. Now, part of that problem is what is happening or not happening on the field. Xavi needs to, or the team needs to improve, right? Xavi needs to get his message across better. There's a lot left to be desired, and we're going to get into most of that. I mean, we didn't even finish the entire game. We ran off now with this, refereeing topic. But
well, at least we got it over with.
At least we got it over with, and yeah. But to finish off the point, so we're gonna get into all of the tactics and the on the field, productivity or lack thereof in a second. But just to finish this off, I think a president is doing what he has to do, and that's looking out for his team, for his club, for his coach, for his players, and I'm doing the same, And if there is injustices taking place that is not being called consistently now, and because of that we are not qualifying or partially because of that. Let me be clear, partially because of that. Because a penalty, 1-0 would have saved us in Munich. A tie in Milan would have saved us in Milan. You know, we wouldn't necessarily be in the predicament that we are in today.
Maybe not. Maybe
not. But right now, we're still in the year of transition, of construction, and we need certain things also perhaps to fall into our favor or to buy us time or not, you know? But the thing is, if it's not happening, which is now, it could have massive ramifications on our entire club moving forward as well. And you can say, well, that's your own fault for the palancas and the leverages and taking these kind of risks. And there we come to, right, the conversation that we had in the summer is it worth all this risk? How will it affect the club moving forward if certain objectives are not met? And I think not advancing in the Champions League is 35 million, something, I believe I was reading that. So it's neither club ending or shattering, but it's certainly, along with that, there must be, you know, collateral damage that comes from not qualifying for the Champions League or to the latter stages as well. So,
well, yeah,
whether
it's
it be
not
sponsored, whether it be ticket sales, obviously Europa League, you know, won't sell out necessarily as much as the Champions League. So,
yeah, well, it's not that you'll go bankrupt. It's that if it just gets tighter and tighter every year and you don't get the financial projections that you relied on with getting to the Champions League knockout rounds and winning La Liga, then all of these, the future signings, the future salaries are just going to get tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter and more difficult to manage. And again, economic disaster is how it's being labeled, because you've literally accounted for that revenue that you're probably not going to get.
Which already had been like the next round. The round of 16, I think even the round of 8 was.
I think it was quarterfinals
to the budget.
Quarterfinals.
Right.
Which is round of 8. Yeah.
Round of 8. Yeah. Okay, let's go. Move on. Sorry.
Whether you get a penalty here and there, and whether or not they were actual penalties, like again, these things, they're debate. I think I could be wrong, but my assessment of it was that the Lewandowski one just before the Rodrigo one, I guess to me the difference is that, and if you wanted to argue, I'm not going to say definitively either way, but Rodrigo's was pretty clear, like he was stomped on.
It was penalty straight away, no doubt about it when I saw it. Yeah.
Whereas the Lewandowski one, it looks like he's on his way down, and then Carvajal comes with the contact after. And that's probably why VAR didn't review that one. But that aside, maybe you even get a penalty there. Maybe you score it.Maybe you still lose. I don't know. But certainly, I think there's different issues at play in that from Real Madrid's perspective and Inter's perspective, and Bayern was so long ago now, but from their perspective too, it's very predictable to face this Barcelona team. Try to get the ball to Rafinha and Dembele on the wings. And Real Madrid knew that, and therefore, could you tell me anything that Rafinha and Dembele did last night? Because I can't. Because
Rafinha tried.
Rafinha tried, but there wasn't anything really noteworthy.
It wasn't until Ansu Fati was by far the bright spot, and I've been screaming for him to be a starter since I don't know how many weeks now.
Yeah, but I think it's just Real Madrid knew that the ball was going to go down those wings, and you guys were trying to put the ball into the box to Lewandowski. And I think from a defensive standpoint, Ancelotti did a good job of limiting all of those anything in the final third. Where I think your success actually ultimately came was when Pedri started to get going a little bit, finding space, breaking the lines a little bit, and him breaking the lines a little bit actually got the front three into better positions. And I think there was just not enough from either way, because I think Real Madrid covered all those spaces in between the lines really well. And the problem is now, I think, like, okay, so I'll just tell you my perspective too as a Real Madrid fan looking at this. What would terrify me against Barcelona is if Barcelona went into a deeper block and then all of a sudden Dembele had space to attack in transition. I would much rather prefer facing this version of Barcelona, which is just slow in its build up, and you know where the ball is going at all times.
Super slow.
And so I actually question the idea of playing this way, because I don't know if it actually suits Dembele. I think it suits these guys in the run-of-the-mill La Liga games, but it does not suit them in bigger games where there's limited space to work with. And that's where I think Xavi needs to reinvent the wheel against the Inters, the Bayerns, the Real Madrids. I think it's tough to play this way.
Look, there was a moment, for example, in the Lewandowski miss, the insane, the unthinkable miss, something
which was offside anyway.
Was it?
Yeah.
It looked like it, but then again, so was Rodrigo.
No, he wasn't. The lines are clear.
The lines are not clear, bro.
Yeah, they're clear.
They don't take it from the knee. They don't take it from the knee.
It's clear.
Go to the Churros account, all the culés, spread the word. That was the wrong offside lines being drawn. He was offside. They don't take the line from the knee. It's from the knee down, Kiyan.
That's what
it's okay. That's a good one. Very nice.
Okay, continue your train of thought, Lewandowski.
So there were moments there where basically a Dembele would, cut inside, find Rafinha out on the wing, with Lewandowski in a position or favorable, let's say, position where he's not super closely marked. But that one was offside. I think you were right. But
and that particular play, if I'm not mistaken, I think started from Pedri doing something in midfield and creating space, which in turn created this domino effect that all of a sudden Rafinha had space now, and it came down
Dembele,
to
Dembele,
Dembele,
directed, or moving that ball. He's cutting in from the outside to the middle. Yeah,
yeah,
but
not enough of those.
Not enough of that, man. No, I 100% agree with your slow build-up call. There were moments where, for example, even late in the game, there was a throw-in where instead of just going for it, like going for the goal, like throwing it in and then turning around and going pretty, gung-ho and determined to attack the goal, we started passing it back and allowing the Madrid defense to set up and organize, and it was like, oh my God, what's going on? It was, not enough assertiveness and determined kind of mentality to go for the win, or go for the equalizer rather. Again, until Ansu came in, I felt like, when Ansu came in, it was, it changed it. And he needs to start. There, I want to have there is no case for Ansu not to be starting matches at this point. There simply is not.
I think the plan was just to ease him in, wasn't it?
Yeah, but it's now. It's about time. It's about time, man.
Who would you drop, Rafinha?
No, Dembele right now.
Oh, really?
Okay. Yeah. I thought my guess was, and I mentioned this in the pod, at least I think, that it was going to be Ansu, Lewandowski, and Rafinha starting for this one. I kind of felt like Dembele needed a rest. Because even in that, in the game against Inter, the 1-0 comes thanks to Rafinha's determinedness. And like his he stays on the ball. He chases the ball down. And that play, the 1-0, comes from him, even though it's Dembele scoring. Like, he's doing a lot of things right in terms of mentality, in terms of, his attitude, his character. He's a hard worker, like a Gavi, let's say, like Pedri. He sacrifices for the team, and I think you need to prize that. Not because maybe Dembele is the better overall player at the moment, should he play automatically, because he's been playing a lot of minutes, and maybe he needs to rest, and it'll do him good to come off the bench. Dembele. I mean, Dembele off the bench can be revolutionary, So I felt like it had to be Ansu and Rafinha on the wings. I even had Balde as right back and Alonso actually as left. So, but the central defenders were them. Eric Garcia, that I'm not a hater at all. And I always say that there are many things he does right in a game, and certain things where you can fault him for, and make two separate highlight reels. Good Eric, bad Eric. This one in the Clasico was definitely not his best game.
I think it definitely hurts him to not have other leaders in the back line too. Like Koundé is still young. This was his first Clasico. But but
he was good.
He was good, and it was at least important for him to be back in the lineup because I don't know what this would have looked like without him, right?
Yeah,
in his position. And so, it's funny because the big matchup we were like I had written about too was the fact, okay, like Vinicius behind the defensive line. That's the obvious one, right? That's where the first goal comes from. Even the second goal, Vinicius is involved in that as well. But we didn't see much of it. Like, it's not like that didn't happen like 8 times, Because when you mentioned that. Hold on, my mic is going haywire.
Your mic's off again.
At this point, need to upgrade the wires.
There you go.
So you mentioned that when it was 2-0, your heart sank. I think when it was 2-0, Madridistas really felt like, okay, is this finally the day of the Manita? Can we get this?
Exactly.
But it wasn't. There wasn't much after that.
No,
there wasn't.
No, there wasn't.
There was like a few there was a lot of like what I think we really won the battle was not necessarily like we didn't. And the way I worded it in my article today is that like this Real Madrid team, and this goes back to the Champions League too. It's not a team that's going to jab you 100 times. It's a team that's going to just deliver 1 or 2 knockout punches and then be solid the rest of it. And so that's kind of what they did in this game. Like there was that Benzema goal that was disallowed for offside, obviously, and then the Rodrigo penalty. But I think where we won the battle was not really in like creating a bunch of chances and running away with it. It was in midfield. It was like I don't know what it must have felt like for you to watch Toni Kroos, who you hate with all your heart, play like that. Like Kroos was unbelievable. Fede Valverde was unbelievable. Modric was unbelievable. Tchouaméni did a really good job defensively and was press resistant. I think where we won the battle was just there. Was like after we delivered the two blows, the midfield worked really hard, and I think that's ultimately where we wrote it out.
Yeah. Well, we had a chance to still tie it up late in the game where Ansu had that missed kick, unfortunately. That was again Ansu, man. Everything that was happening was thanks to Ansu, and it's a Clasico that's won by Madrid, deservedly so. It leaves us in a bad place. Quite frankly, it's now we lose. Obviously La Liga is still very long, but you drop 3 points. You drop the being top of the league. The dynamics right now are just not good. So you're heading into kind of a World Cup break, or not even that. I mean, before that, we still have a mountain to climb with Villarreal coming, Athletic Club coming, Villarreal on Thursday, Athletic Club on Sunday, and then Bayern coming on Wednesday. So it's crazy. We still have a mountain to climb. It's like, and at this point, you're kind of like, I can't wait for the World Cup to start. It's all about this team. This is a massive test for this team's character, how they come back from this. I was hoping that the Clasico was going to catapult us into a different and more positive dynamic. Obviously, that wasn't the case. I think I've been adamant about that there's a lot of left to desire from what we see from this team. And having said that, in the same breath, I'm gonna stick to my guns and say, penalty. That massive shove, man. That ridiculous shove is Carvajal on Dembélé as well. What the fuck is that?
That's not a massive shove, man.
What the fuck
There's
is
not
that?
a massive
that is a penalty each and every single day of the fucking week.
That's not a massive shove.
That
you
was
guys
insane.
I love how this just came. Like you couldn't help yourself. It just came back to the referees again after you were doing so well. No, man. There's one angle of that. There's only one replay that I've seen, and it's been playing on loop on social media, and you can barely see anything. It's pretty much pixelated. You can't see where Carvajal's hand is. If you give me another angle, I want to know. Like that could have just been a soft, like anything. Like and Dembele was falling before that even happened. Like that ball was past him.
No, dude. Don't.
Look,
no,
I'm not
true.
I'm not going to say it wasn't a penalty, but this, like, just replaying that on rule and finding all these little details of how we're the victims is insane to me. I hate it. I hate it so much.
We're not. I just want calls to go our way as well. Like the stomping of Eddie Garcia that killed the game. Right when we were looking to equalize, okay, for the equalizer, with Ansu being hot, he's on the field, he's creating all the chances, the goal comes, the 2-1. He almost has that missed kick. There was still, like 4 or 5 minutes left to play? Fuck that, man. Should have gotten a penalty. This game should have ended in a tie. There.
The better team won. That's all I got to say.
And I'll admit to that. I'll admit to that as well. We'll say that. It was a Clasico, man. I'm like, it's a Clasico. What are you going to do? I was hoping that, and that's why, when we talk about Clásicos don't matter, they do matter. They matter so much because this loss is more than just a Liga loss. It's a loss against, the eternal rival that could have either, like I said, catapulted us to a whole different dynamic after the desilusión, right? The disappointment of the Champions League, where we're hanging by a thread. I mean, not even. It's like the thinnest of threads. But we're pretty much, made peace with, or not trying to make peace with Europa League.
I'm telling you, there's a scenario on the table where Inter lose to Pilsen and you beat Bayern. It's on the table, and then we're going to drop points against Elche. We're going to drop points against Elche next week too. Next game. That's such a classic Real Madrid behavior to drop points after a win like this.
How was it for you? It was delightful. Hey, look, like I said, our listeners can say what they want, but all I say is the Churros Twitter account speaks for itself. Along with the retweets of the robberies, I also tweet a lot of other shit that is flattering to you Blanco motherfuckers. So chill out.
You had a lot of goodwill with Madridistas after your patron solo podcast, where you went into depression and you said, this sucks, and all the Madridistas rallied around you like, okay, it's okay, Diego.
Response.
You lost all that goodwill with tweeting that shit about robberies and stuff. It's gone. They lost sympathy again.
I want to thank all of our patrons for that outpour of love and care. Trust me, I love you, Blancos, okay? It's all love at the end of the day. Got to keep the rivalry up, though, man.
By the way, this whole thing about like all of the...
Tweak your cable, bro. You're coming through robotic style.
I got to get a new cable.
You got a new cable.
The idea that like all of our listeners are only Madridistas... I was tweeting some smack during the Inter game, and all the Barca fans came at me on the Churros account. You didn't see that?
Really?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
There we go. All right, then.
So that myth needs to be dispelled.
I know we have Kool-Aids in the house.
There's a lot of Kool-Aids in the house. I wanted to ask you, do you think that Xavi is aware of the actual problems?
That's a great question. That is a great, great question.
Or do you think he believes this is basically working and they're just unlucky and he's, I don't know, deluded is not the right word, but in the post-game, he's talking about we dominated the first half. Da-da-da.
But there's a point for that. I mean, dominated as in like, You didn't feel. I mean, even on and again, I always listen to the radio. I always say this on the podcast. I always listen to Cadena Ser, which is a Madrid-based, media outlet. But they have great, obviously, also Catalan narrators, commentators, and analysts and stuff. So I like listening to them, even though knowing that the hosts are Madridistas, etc. But they were also saying of the agreement that Barca looked comfortable, and the 2-0 I felt like caught everybody off guard in a way, because it felt like like there was something cooking there, like there was the passing, it was slow, but you didn't feel an aggressive Madrid, let's say.
Okay, well, having a good spell and losing 2-0 at halftime is not domination. Like.
No, absolutely. Look, and I agree.
The other
with
thing
the
he said,
it felt the 2-0 was like you said, the second punch, and it was the knockout. It was over there, over.
Like the way I saw it too was that like after the 1-0, there was definitely a spell where Barcelona looked uncomfortable, and I think you tweeted scared, quote unquote scared.
I did.
Where there was some bad passes coming in, they looked a little bit rattled, but then impressively they regained themselves. They started to grow into the game again, and then they suffered the 2-0. But then Xavi also said another thing, which he said, we lost in Madrid beat us in maturity, but not intensity, and that made no sense to me either, because there was zero intensity lacking from Real Madrid. In fact, I would argue there was way more intensity from Real Madrid. But maybe he means his definition of intensity is high press or something. I don't know. In which case, I think he should have said that to avoid confusion.
Do you think that he's saying this to because he doesn't know, because he truly believes it, to save his own ass? Do you think? You always come up with crazy Xavi statements, I feel. Whenever he talks, you're very skeptical of the things he says.
Yeah, because I think there's a little bit of delusion in there. Forgive me. Yeah, because I think his view of, and I always feel weird talking about this, about one of the greatest midfielders of all time, who is infinitely smarter than I am. So I always like to preface it by saying that, then if there's anyone you should believe, it's Xavi and not me on a microphone on my laptop. But I'm just saying, like, the way he sees the game, I think is a little bit too glass half full. And it's like, I think he gets caught up in this. We play a certain way, and if we completed this many passes in the final third, it means we dominated, and it ignores the rest of the problems that the team has. Like, I'm just not sure you should be holding a high line against Vinicius. I'm just sorry. I'm just not sure that's a correct decision. And like, this is
with him recognizing and saying that you guys won in maturity. Isn't that already enough of a?
Well, I don't understand the intensity
praise.
Part. I'm not sure what he means by that, but
I mean, like, the guy recognizes that he's the máximo responsable, right? The should be the number one held accountable for this loss.
Yes,
and how it occurred.
Yeah,
he says you guys beat us in maturity. I don't know all the statements. I think he doesn't take away the win from Real Madrid whatsoever. But for him to try to take some positives out of a very negative situation, he admitted multiple times we're in a very negative dynamic. We need to change this. For him to cling on and instill faith in his players that they were things that they did well, where in his eyes, or in his at least statement, he always says in every single press conference, and I cover every single one. That's not true. All the pregame ones. That he's an optimist. He's like, well, I'm an optimist. He says that all the time. So for him to take out positives in this and praise his team, try to instill some belief in these players who have fucking on Thursday have, the Yellow Submarine coming to town, then the Basque Lions, and then fucking German Giants. I don't see any problem with this.
That's a fair rebuttal. It's fair. I still don't think he won the intensity battle either, but that's a different story, I guess.
Well, that's something that you guys can talk about. You can.
We did. I wrote about it today. I wrote about it today, and I said,
you guys want him to admit we're shit. They were fucking way better. We are pieces of shit, assholes. We don't deserve nothing. I'm gonna crawl back in my cave, a la Madrid. Give him the league trophy already. Give him another Champions League trophy. That's it. I'm going home. That's what you guys just want him defeated, like stomped in the ground.
I want him to, after the game, to come out on his own will, to come out before I start this press conference. I'd like to admit that we are not more than a club. Ronaldo is the GOAT. Modric is better than me. If once he says that, I'll die happy.
Oh my god, man.
No, I'm kidding.
But I cannot take you serious with that microphone. What has the shape of a massive cock that you hold in front of your face.
I think one time. Look, this is not the usual setup for me, because today in my hotel, there's the desk is not big enough for me to set the microphone in top with my laptop, so I have to hold it. But when I'm at home, I can put it on top of the desk like this, right. And I don't have to hold.
You just see the tip of the head.
I think it was Matteo Bonetti, who like saw me hold it like this once, and he like replied to my Instagram story. He's like, "Was that a dildo?"
No shit. I'm not the only one with a twisted mind. Man. That's hilarious.
Maybe I shouldn't have said that on there. Okay, so yeah. This is what I wanted to ask you.
All right.
Is Barcelona I can't even word this without getting you into trouble. Is Barcelona right now in a better state than it was under Koeman?
Yes, 100%, without a shadow of a doubt. Now, Koeman had certain players, in his first stint as well. That's not to say that Xavi doesn't have an array of amazing talent on his squad, of which we expect a lot better, of course. We hold this team up to a higher standard, but we expect the best from Xavi, and there's a lot of pressure on him, of course, because things are, as he says, in a negative dynamic right now. But I know why you ask this question, and I know that it's made its rounds around Twitter. The comparisons of, I think it was Mr. Chip that put it out, talking about the 10 coaches or something, the top 10 coaches that have coached 50 games with Barca. Xavi's not one of them right now. I know that is not entirely true neither. There's some fuckery going on there.
Mr. Chip was wrong? Wow.
Yeah. And I cannot give the rebuttal now, so the listeners stay tuned. As I'm happy to present it on Twitter, but I have it. I was listening to it on the way in, so on the way back from work. I haven't finished it. I think we're in a way better state, Kiyan. Yes, I have much more faith in Xavi's vision than what Koeman had. I felt that with Koeman, there was no... I mean, we heard from players themselves. Pjanic talk about there not being any game plan, no training. Training sessions were, 40-minute training sessions, no intensity, no analysis, pre-game sort of. And he might have, whether we need to take Pjanic's word for it. The thing is, he's not been the only one necessarily that has criticized Barca's training practices. And we know with Xavi at least that he is meticulous and he's intense and he's on top of his players. He communicates with his players. Right now, there is probably some even miscommunication going on. I think we can talk a very long time about which players need to be in the starting 11, which ones don't right now. I think we can have a long conversation about the quote-unquote vacas sagradas, the veterans, and what their place should or should not be within this team and dressing room, and a whole bunch of other stuff. And of course, listen, and maybe the number one reason now, I think the radical Madridistas might throw shade in my way, the same way that they will do for me bringing in the referee. But injuries, the fact that 3 of your new signings in defense have been injured for such a long time has most definitely had an effect. And you can call it an excuse, but the same way with calls not been going our way, and I'll make it about Barca, because that's who I represent and support and watch and love. The same way injuries have also had an effect, and a negative one at that, on this team and Xavi's plans.
Yeah, I think the injuries didn't help for sure. I also, it is absolutely fair to point that out. I also would say, based on last night, I don't know if those injuries to the back line hurt you that much in the grand scheme of things, more than the fact that you just weren't able to create enough clear-cut chances.
I love Eddie Garcia, but Eddie Garcia is arguably or maybe fourth or third choice in central defense.
Koundé at Lugo is 1 and 2, right?
Of course.
Wouldn't he be
and
3?
Christensen is third.
I don't know. Eddie Garcia is pretty well loved by...
Well, that's why it's arguable. There's third or fourth.
Well, here's another point that wasn't brought up and hasn't been brought up much. What Real Madrid fans were most concerned about was the fact that Courtois wasn't playing. And Lunin is a kid who's been shaky. And you guys didn't really test him.
We didn't test him.
Yeah. Like, I would have been just shooting like as much as I possibly could to just see if he could spill it. He's going to give up some rebounds. Not enough of that.
No. None. It was frustrating. I was infuriated. It was infuriating. This is the word. Infuriating. Oh my
infuriating.
God.
Did you see Ancelotti's quote when he was asked about... I'm doing this, by the way. This is like the alternative is like my face just goes half off the camera, but
I see it now. Now you're just hiding it.
Well, this is now where I can... This is the only place I can fit it. It's right here. So it's either...
That's what he said, right, Kiyan?
All right, listen. This is the best option. Pick your poison. So, right. Did you see what Ancelotti said when he was asked after the game if this could have been a goleada? Goleada.
Una goleada. No, I didn't see. What did he say?
Because the journalist asked him, you could have gone for the revenge for the 4-0. You could have scored more goals. And he said,
yeah.
And his answer was, we want 3 points and not a thrashing. I thought that was a great answer.
I would be disappointed if I would be.
Of course you would be, and that's the point. What? That's the difference. No, of course I think all Real Madrid fans would have wanted more, right? But
of course.
I just think that this Real Madrid... Yeah. I think, there's also a universe, though, where you keep pushing for like 4-0, 5-0, you open up a little bit, maybe you take the line a bit higher, you start to punch a little bit more, but then you maybe just concede 1 or 2 goals in transition too. And so I'm pretty happy with not giving Dembele and Rafinha the space that they maybe would have had if you made that decision. So I think it was ultimately the correct call because it ends in a W.
That's all that matters. You don't want to know what una manita, a 6-2 tastes like, or 4-0, or you don't want to know. It's just take the win, be happy.
Do I want to come back and say I think I would rather just taste the trophies instead?
Oh, what are you guys gonna win then this year? La Liga's in the bag. Do you feel like that's it?
We're gonna lose against Elche and then lose.
Do you see this Barca then compete for La Liga or what?
Yeah, this doesn't change the fact that we beat one Clasico doesn't change the fact that it's still going to come down to these two teams. I thought like Ewan got a little bit crazy last night on the podcast. He said that Atletico are only 1 point back of Barca now, and I was like, what? I was like, that can't be true, but it is, I guess. So, but there's no way. I think it's still going to be down to these two, and it's going to come down to the wire regardless of what happens. So.
Hey, Atletico, listen.
Big win. Poor
big
Atletico.
Win. We expect
never get talked about.
More.
Never get talked about, but big win.
They have their own problems. There's the whole shit.
They're only 3 points behind Barca. They're 3
moment.
points, not 1 point. I don't know why he said 1 point. Maybe I don't know, but it's 3 points back of Barca.
Look, it's the first loss of the season. I mean, Ter Stegen had only conceded 1 goal up until that point. We had been unbeaten, with 7 consecutive wins. And that's the thing, we should focus on the positives, as in, at least in La Liga, we were on a good spell,
But this
we're still in it. I don't want loser mentality to creep in either, excuse me. But certain comments after the game... After the Inter game, when they were said, they don't necessarily inspire neither, and confidence heading into this Clasico. Like, this has to stop. We cannot be crying at halftime, against Liverpool because we're winning when we're actually advancing to the next round and come out scared. Like, the same cannot, this mentality, right? This poisonous cannot infect neither into this very young team with different players in different stages in their career, where like all of a sudden now these players stop believing that they can win La Liga and it's over.
No,
we can't let that
that's
happen.
true. But I think and this is where Xavi has to come in and change the way he approaches these big games. Because, and you and I didn't get a chance to talk after that Inter Barca game, but this is the point I've been making, is that you've conceded 1 goal in 9 games in La Liga before the Clasico. And now in 4 games against Barca, Inter, Real Madrid, it's been 10 goals in 4 games conceded instead of 9 goals in 1.
Wait. Barca, Inter, Real Madrid. You mean the 2 Inter games?
Plus Bayern, plus Real Madrid, that's 10 goals.
3 games you're talking about.
2 Inter games, 1 Bayern, 1 Real Madrid, 10 goals in 4 games. Whereas the other teams that can't damage you the way these bigger teams can. Yeah, it's 1 and 9. 1 and 9, yeah. And that's where I think the criticism is really fair.
Yeah.
Is that now that may not, like, if you're gonna just only want to win La Liga, then you don't need to worry about that maybe.
Okay. Right. Now, but also, let's again then bring up that these games happened after the international break.
Not all of them. Bayern.
When was out, Memphis was out, Bellerin. Huh?
Not
Bayern
the Bayern
was after,
one.
no?
I can't remember.
I forget it was.
Either way, that can't be the excuse. Like, okay, like, we had an international break too. Everyone had the international break.
No, I think you're right. You're right. No, yeah, I know, but look at the injuries we picked up during that time. Christensen, Koundé, Araujo, Frenkie, Memphis, Bellerin.
You can't use, but still, like, I understand that, yeah, that sucks. But there's obviously, like, clear tactical issues too in those big games, apart from the players. I also had something else I wanted to say, because right now a big topic in Barcelona fan base is Busquets can't start as a single pivot. And like, well, okay, this is not the same Busquets. What's the alternative? Frank Kessie can't play that role. De Jong is not a 6. You guys just all don't have...
Alonso, Christensen, Araujo. 1 second. Sorry, Kiyan. Alonso, Christensen, Araujo, Koundé was our backline. You're correct. Against Bayern. You're correct. Sorry. Now you're saying about the number 6?
Yeah, just that you guys don't have a Busquets backup. Everyone's like, Busquets
Frankie
can't start.
needs to play there.
That's not his role.
Frankie needs to play there. He played in a double pivot in Ajax in the Dutch national team.
Then I think the solution is
if he can play in central defense, if he can be played in central defense, then he can play in that position as well.
The thing is, it's not that Frankie's strength is to drive the ball forward as the 8 and progress the ball. I think if you're gonna bench Busquets, I think you have to move to a double pivot, and that would make sense. So you don't have to have a play with a 6, but play like, if you want to play Kessie, put him in double pivot. Same thing with Frankie. That's just my argument. So I just don't think playing a 4-3-3 with Busquets on the bench, because no one else can do what Busquets does, even though Busquets is not the same player he used to be.
I mean, the natural backup, quote unquote natural, because according to his dad, he's not. That's not his position. I'm talking about Nico Gonzalez, loaned out to Valencia. That was the idea for Xavi, was I'm going to play you there. That's going to be your spot.
Nico wanted to go, right?
Nico wanted to go. He said, I'm not going to get enough minutes because Busquets will play too many minutes. And he said, no, I will play you. But he wanted to go.
Can we leave with this one thing? Because I see you're rolling up, and it's almost 8.
I'm not. I'm not rolling nothing. It's a Monday.
Oh,
I'm playing with this tapon.
Okay. You guys always complain the Real Madrid PR machine, Ballon d'Or.
Oh yeah.
Gavi's going to win I think it's called the Copa Trophy.
Yes, apparently.
That's some solid Barcelona propaganda right there.
We got it, baby. At least they're fair somewhere. Well, you guys didn't really think Tchouaméni was going to get it, right? I always told you Gavi's better.
I don't even think Tchouaméni's eligible. I think it had to have been Bellingham or Musiala.
Gavi, baby. Gavi's a special talent, man. He's the real deal. And he's going to annoy the fuck out of you guys for the next 12 years. Or at least somebody thinks so.
You think he's actually good?
Or at least somebody thinks so.
The guy, literally, he was obliterated yesterday off the bench.
Why 12 years?
I don't know. Just a number.
Man, give him time.
Just bouncing off.
He's going to be amazing.
Bouncing off Mendy, bouncing off Benzema.
I'm the Gavi PR machine. I'm the Gavi PR machine.
You think Gavi will be on Barcelona? Over or under? What are the chances Gavi is going to be a Barcelona player in 3 years? Or is he going to be playing for I don't know.
This kid is going to be the next Xavi Iniesta. He's going to be a one club. He'll go somewhere later.
You have that high expectations for him, huh?
Yeah, of course.
This is great.
Why are you so?
I'm just ready for you to be disappointed with him. That's all.
Why?
I just think he's a little bit overhyped.
Okay,
but time
fair.
will tell.
You can have that. I mean, that's your hope, kind of that's what you hope for, that we're going to be disappointed. But this kid has been playing at Barca since a long time now. Nearly a decade. Yeah, nearly a decade. I think it is. At least since 7 years, 8 years. Since he's 10, he's been playing at Barca since he's 10.
Yeah, that doesn't make him good. Lucas Vazquez.
That makes him loyal.
Loyalty. Okay, loyalty is a different discussion.
But you're talking about him leaving, as if you know something, as if he's a Madridista.
Not that he would leave.
Madrid, motherfucker.
He wouldn't. No. He wouldn't leave on his own. I'm just saying, is he good enough to be? I don't know. To me,
time will tell. I think so far so good. Yeah, I like what I see.
To me, Pedri is just special.
Also.
I personally don't believe Pedri is overhyped at all. I think Pedri is amazing.
Right.
But I just feel like the Gavi and the Eric Garcia are just a tier below. Is my assessment of it.
Well, you can argue that. I wouldn't necessarily dispute that, but I would also not put Gavi and Eric Garcia this moment in time in the same category.
So would you go Pedri, Gavi, Eric Garcia in that order?
Sure. If you want to, go from gold, silver, bronze.
All right. How's Pablo Torre, the guy you said was going to be amazing this year? Is he doing anything?
Well, it's a tough moment for him to break out into a team where that is already, pretty stacked in the midfield and where a lot of young players play, of 18 years of age. Gavi, Pedri, and then Pablo Torre, who is coming, new fish into a team that is under construction. Sorry, but I think if I'm Torre, I'm probably playing more with Barça Athletic right now. I'm trying to win the youth champion. Oh no, wait, he's 18, so he should qualify for it.
So he's playing. Is he playing regularly with the youth team right now? I honestly don't know.
I think he's only played one game, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So he's had that, and then the 9 minutes in the Champions League. So it's must be frustrating for him. I know that there have been talks between him and Xavi. We'll see. If you're talking about a player that maybe will not be as patient and loyal, then talk about it, Pablo Torre. Yeah, I'm I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to get minutes right now in the midfield on this team, being young as well. So let's see.
All right, Diego, I think we got to wrap it up here because I got to do a lot of work tonight, and
Right,
you know it's getting late for you. So, still in your work clothes. Usually, you have time to change into more casual attire before the podcast.
Yes.
You and I will talk.
It's my new look now.
Looks good. You and I will talk Thursday, right? Over on patreon.com/Churros y Tácticas.
Always. Yeah.
And all the stuff that Diego wasn't allowed to say, he's going to say in that episode. All of the stuff.
I was pretty candid.
Yeah, I think you could go. There was another level you could have gone to, though. Or at least I could have asked you more questions that you could have answered. I could have. I'm going to ask you some hard-hitting questions on Thursday about Xavi. We got to get to the bottom of this. All right.
Well, this was pleasurable, as always. We ripped the Band-Aid off. Again, congratulations, Madridistas. So us out there one more time. Congrats. You guys are the deserved winners of edition, the first edition of this season's Clasico. Yeah. The first official one.
You guys won
it's 1-1, of course. I'm taking a preseason. So it's 1-1 right now. So good. We'll see what the next one will be the decider.
We'll even give that to you just to
for this season. Right?
Yeah. It's 3-2 overall on aggregate. 1-0 in Vegas, and then 3-1 in the Bernabeu.
Exactly right. There you
go. 3-2. 3-2.
Fair. Okay. Fair.
Cool. All right, man.
Justice on churros.
It was good chatting. All things considered,
this was together in love, peace and love.
All things considered, this was the least saltiest post-Clasico churros we've done, I think.
Good.
The peak of it.
I'll be honest. You boosted my spirits. I have not smiled in the past 24 hours. So thank you.
The peak of it was the peak of the tension was probably the one where you said you were closer to the 1-1 than the 2-0. That was like the Mourinho versus Pep of the churros. That was as bloody as it got.
Stand by that.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Diego. It was fun. Talk Thursday.
Thanks, buddy.
Peace out.
Peace.